The top viewers. Alright, so this thing should be looking at me now. I'm just gonna let this roll for a minute. Okay, catch up. Oh, it's kind of funny because you're seeing mostly. Yes, this is a handle. This is a steering wheel. God, it's gorgeous up here though. I'm not supposed to show you guys where I'm at exactly, but look at that. What a beautiful private road somewhere. So, I'm gonna go ahead and just keep you guys looking at me for a little while until we get back up on the main drag. Once we get to the main drag, I'll go ahead and switch things over so we can enjoy the ride. So I apologize for you getting to deal with my face, but hi everybody. Thank you for tuning in, as always, and forever. I'm Stone, and this is Driving with Stone. We're here in the work truck today. Say hi to the work truck. We're on the far. Well, I guess we're up in the East Mountains. We're up in the San Gator Crest. I still have to learn all the names of all the little towns out here. They're all kind of well, like I was making jokes about in the last trip, it's all kind of like Lindsay County, where it's all kind of just tied together. And you know, you drive from one town to the next, you don't even realize you left. I wish these people weren't so weird up here. It's beautiful. Like I said, we'll come down one day when I'm not on a job site, and I want to take this road all the way to Santa Fe and take you guys down. I think it would be a lot of fun, especially in the fall. And if you're looking to buy land to build a really beautiful house, you got lots of money, this is definitely a good place to come to at it, because it's stunning. Beautiful views. You're not too far away from Albuquerque, not too far away from Santa Fe. Let's see what's happening on the front. This up just a touch. Disconnect you. I think it's going to be a little bit tilted. Flip it back the other way and you got me. Flip it back forward and we got the road. Alright, here we go. Chewy, punch it! Alright. So I'm not sure. I think we're just getting poor reception up here. Alright, so getting cruised back on the way home. It's a little weird here. I'm not sure where to start with this. So if you're watching this video, means you probably hit the subscribe button, have your notifications on, so you probably have some idea of who I am. And some of what we do here, I make a lot of different content. Videos making music, videos playing games, videos where we're just driving around, all kind of different bits. So got a lot of different content that we're kind of up to. And I've been streaming on Twitch for a couple years now. Not so much this last year, since I've kind of started this new job. I've got a lot kind of going on with it. So I'm trying to get myself back into some good habits and getting myself into some things that just kind of make me happy and bring me a little bit more joy back in my life. One of those things, like I said, is streaming. I stream games, stream music, music production. Sometimes I just do chatting, just kind of like what we're doing here over on Twitch. I've been doing that for, that's about 2018 now, so it's been a little while. Streaming games and stuff is different. It really is different. One of the reasons why I started this channel in the first place wasn't for streaming games, it was for streaming music specifically, like live music production and music in the field, like from actual event centers and stuff. And when I first got into this, that was something that was so far removed, like, you know, thousands of dollars of equipment to be able to pull it off. Now we're going live on just our cell phone. So things have really changed a lot. But like everything, I mean, I do a lot of work, and most of why I work is just to try and pay my bills. I mean, of course, I like making cool stuff, and I like making things like that happen, but I think we're all in the same kind of situation where you're trying to figure out how to pay your bills, you're trying to make sure you got yourself together, and trying to make a positive impact. So, in my case, I want to create some things with value that, ultimately increase the value of your life. The listener, the person watching this. And some of those things are a little bit more subtle. Like, for instance, my driving videos, which I absolutely love, and I really enjoy that you guys have enjoyed these so much. I love going for road trips ever since I was a kid. I love driving around. I love everything about cars. It's a very integral part of life out here in the West. I'm sure if we were on horseback, and with the cell phones, we'd probably do the same thing, just streaming on horseback. And kind of sharing my experiences. And also, one of the reasons why I like to stream is it gives me a good opportunity to kind of be able to just kind of share my opinions, my values, kind of the things that I'm feeling about stuff, which is kind of ironic because those of you that know me very much know I try to avoid a lot of really sensitive topics if I can help it. Ironically, I'm also a clod, so I kind of just, dive headfirst into them. Because I feel like talking and finding a good safe place to talk and being able to talk about things that are not necessarily safe or not necessarily comfortable are one of the most important things that we need to do and learn how to do. It's not like it's something that everybody just, we just pop out and we're able to do it. I think it's a skill that takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of willingness to admit yourself and what you're into. Oh, there's a sentence. There we go. Willingness to be honest about a lot of things that are happening. I myself do not think that I'm a stupendously honest person. I mean, everybody in my family are fucking pathological liars, and I mean, that's definitely had an impact on me. But I think honesty is really about who you are as a person, how you choose to express yourself, and what you believe. Do you believe the facts? Do you believe your experience? Do you believe at all? Some people actually have no belief for anything at all. I think that has an impact on them. And I definitely try to be genuine. If not always honest, I definitely try to be genuine. I know that there's a bit of a distinction there. Sometimes you get people that are genuine that are just absolute liars. You get people that are liars that are honest about it. So I mean, the human experience is vast. There's a lot going on to it. In my case, I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing with myself. That's kind of my big mission. I think maybe we're all in kind of the same boat, trying to figure out, who am I? How did I get here? What am I doing here? What do I add to the universe around me? And what value is it that I present? And sometimes that might not always be something that's easily, explained or understood. I mean, I have a hard time explaining what value I give to the world itself, because a lot of what I give, I think, is a bit more etheric. It's not quite as easy to measure. But also, some things aren't necessarily there to be measured. Some things bring you joy, when things make you happy, things make you sad, things make you think, things make you feel. I mean, all that has a value. Most people can't put a price on it, but people buy drugs, and that does that too. People pay for movies, that causes the same thing. So feelings definitely have a value, and having an influence on those definitely has a value. I'm someone that's always believed in that things that have value get sold. Things that if it has value, basically someone will buy it. But that really depends on the currency that you're using for the transmittal of that. What is the currency being handed off of? And I really do believe in the ultimate currency being time. Back. I spent a great deal of time battling with my own anxieties, battling with my own, stresses, worries. Am I good enough? Is what I'm doing genuine enough? Am I honest with the sensation that my art, whatever I'm producing, is giving me? That's been a hard one for me, because a lot of art, a lot of things aren't necessarily, happy, or they're not necessarily, uplifting. But they're necessary to feel that, and I think that's something that's worth kind of thinking about. I think, at least in my life, I've had a lot of crazy things kind of happen to me. A lot of things, just about everything that could go wrong, kind of has gone wrong in ways. And in that way, I think that can really color it colors my opinion of the people around me. And it colors how I feel like I can impact and direct things and change things. And like you said, that learning the value of all those things, learning the cost of things, it's an expensive process. It takes time. Being that's the most valuable resource, that's what we pay, the price that we pay for the things that we learn. It's the time of our life. Going through our experiences, figuring out what's happening, what's not happening, and being honest with ourselves. And in my case, I think I've tied a lot of success to the money, and how much money am I making on certain things. Which is ironic because anytime I make money, I turn around and give it away. Right? I end up helping somebody out or whatever the case is. So it's not like I do a great job like hoarding money or doing anything like gathering resources. I pretty much, if I get something, I find a need, and I go take care of it. And that's you move through it. I think that's most people. I think the trick is learning what is actually a need, versus what is something that you're wanting. Even if it's like helping somebody else out as opposed to saving money for myself, I would much rather help somebody else out, and invest into them that way. And it's less of an investment, it's a cost at that point, unless it's, you're getting something directly back from it. But I find it valuable. I think people are valuable. And if time is the most, if time is the most valuable etheric thing, then human life and the human's perception is the most valuable, tangible thing. And I know you're like, well, how is a perception tangible? I'll get to that. How we perceive the world and how we look at everything around us changes and moves. And being able to direct our own perception of things in a way that's more helpful, maybe not necessarily helpful. Being able to be honest with our perceptions of the world around us and being able to put things in their places. Being able to put ourselves in a place like that as well is an important life skill. It's also something I think that's maybe not quite as valued in modern conventional society. When you get out of cities and you get out into countries and things like that, your integrity and your value as a human being goes way up. How it's required. In a city you can rely on credit scores, and you can rely on other things like this to sort of dictate your value, what your, however, banks and stuff used to try and assess people. But when you're dealing on a human level, you've got to come up with your own unit of metrics. Like in my case, what am I doing that's giving me success that makes me feel that I'm accomplishing things? And in myself, I really put a lot of emphasis on the sense of accomplishment, on what have I done, what have I contributed, how am I helping out, because I see a lot of how when you add and you contribute things, how it helps and affects everybody else inside of the same system with you, whether it's your family unit, your people you're working with, or just people on the street. How you handle people around you directly impacts them. And there's a lot of ways that can be impacted or influenced. You can be applied to somebody and someone's needing radical honesty, and because you didn't deliver that to them, they feel that they were getting ingenuity. In the same aspect, you can be overly exacting and almost cruelly honest, and that's not the type of care that somebody needs, and it can really mess them up. Myself, I think of myself as a very sensitive person. I try to be, very understanding of people's feelings, understanding kind of human experiences, what goes on in that. And I try to couple that with a healthy amount of DEF, because it's very easy to care far too much about all the wrong details, and it can also be extremely difficult to care enough about the right details. And I think it's difficult when handling the human heart to really hold it to independent standards or something separate than itself. You really have to judge them on a one-to-one basis. And that's tough because to learn something on a one-to-one means that you have to put that time in, you have to kind of really understand it, and at some point you have to express love or interest, or at least a willingness to accept that something exists to be able to understand. Like, you have to admit that you're observing something to be able to observe it. If you don't acknowledge that you're seeing anything, then you're not going to see, you're seeing nothing, if that makes any sense. With success or with things like that that are more, I'll use the word again, etheric, they're not tangible. It can be very difficult unless you create tangible units of measure for that. Like I was streaming on a few different occasions. I really, part of it, I don't make a giant issue about a lot of goals and things like that, is because I'm used to, when I set goals, things go wrong, things go crazy, things come apart at the seams, whatever. So I generally work on just what I can get done. But that doesn't help with metrics. It doesn't help with measuring what's actually happening or what's changing, what's been developing. So it's really rough. I find it rough in myself to try and set realistic goals. I think more often than not, the way my brain works, I set unrealistic expectations. Then I try to hold myself to that, and then when it's clearly not achievable, I just get pissed off about it. Instead of really giving myself credit for the amount of work that I've done and the accomplishment that's been done. I think, at least for myself, one of my biggest lessons I'm trying to learn is how to keep very realistic, tangible goals and dreams, things that can be easily, not necessarily easy done, but actually accomplished, actually measured, actually sorted out. And to give myself credit for that. I think in my case, one of my biggest problems is I tend to set goals or expectations that are far greater than what can be handled, in the hopes that whatever I get done, it will far exceed what could have initially been the objective. And that is not necessarily honest. And it sets myself up for failure in a lot of ways. So, like, especially when it's looking at, I want to become a streamer and have enough tangible income to be able to support myself like that. Well, to be able to to become a streamer like that, in this space, I have to be able to give enough value to be able to warrant that, having that exercise when people are like, the information you're giving me is worth something, I'm getting something for it, here's something tangible about that. And ironically, a lot of what I give is not something that can be paid for readily, because most of my audience are not people who I don't think that necessarily have the means to pay for that. I'm not. There's a lot of people that I watch that I don't have any money to support. I don't have any ability to get there. Hell, if I can get a t-shirt from somebody, I'll lose my mind. I think it's the greatest thing on the planet. Or even like a sticker, anything like that that's tangible. But the impact that they make is burned into my heart, and that's an important thing. I can think of some tangible examples. Really learning how to convert, at least for myself, learning how to convert something that's just something important in my heart into something that's important in dollar value. It can be a tricky and messy endeavor, especially when I'm trying to juggle bills, trying to juggle food, trying to juggle all the other survival necessities that are required for living. And unfortunately, it requires immense money, especially being in kind of a city. I have spent a great deal of time in my life trading for everything that I need, either just by existing, scavenging, whatever the case is, turning garbage into something useful. I myself am probably the most useful piece of garbage I've ever encountered, and have found ways to turn myself into a valuable resource. Part of that is shifting my perspective on myself from being just a problem or pain or just generally not very good at stuff. I have to sacrifice my being terrible is the price to being good. And part of that process is sacrifice. In my case, what I had to do for the next few years is sacrifice the concept of perfection for good. Because I think fewer things are more enemies to good than perfect. I think I've talked about this a few times on Stream Live. But realistically, I think and I'm speaking all of this from me, from my own experience, from what I've encountered in my life. may find something similar in your life and in your experience. You may not. You may completely disagree. At least in my own experience, I've spent far more time in search of perfect and in trying to find perfection, which has affected how I perceive what's good. So sometimes what's good isn't great, but sometimes good is effective and it works. It gets things done. Sometimes what's perfect is just absolutely unachievable. Sometimes what's perfect is the enemy of good itself. Sometimes the pursuit of being perfect itself demonizes good and puts that away. And realistically, then if you're not perfect, you're just bad. And that's a very, I'm going to go ahead and call that ungrateful attitude. I think it's an ungrateful attitude of myself. I think it doesn't allow enough grace in myself to be able to say, hey, you did a good job, Stone. You did the thing, you got the job done, you made something good happen. And I think that learning how to be just okay enough with that is a life skill, very important life skill that has to be developed. I don't know, maybe some people just have that built in and it's innate. And I say find more of those people to study from. And in my case, that's what helps me is finding people that like that. They can be good about setting casual goals. Finding people or personality types that I don't necessarily like or that I agree with, but I can understand enough and be able to empathize and put myself in that situation to be able to give myself enough room to grow, if that makes any sense. I might not necessarily like that somebody is stupendously goal-oriented to the point that it makes the experience seem like an afterthought. But being able to have that kind of structure and focus to be able to kind of bear down like that is an extremely necessary skill. Also, by that same token, being absurd enough to be able to create at a whim is a beautiful skill set. And in some cases, it's a natural ability, but I think it's a skill set that you develop. I think spending some time with that, being kind of honest with the experience, and being able to be honest with what you're good at versus what you're bad at, versus what you want to get good at, versus what you're naturally good at. I actually say versus, it's understanding kind of everything in conjunction with one another. That's one of the main motivations, I think, of really separating yourself from the pursuit of perfect and into being graceful and good. Kind of being accepted in the process, being accepted in learning, being accepted in making mistakes and errors, and being okay with them. I think I spent so many years trying to make the perfect stream, the perfect videos, the perfect music, that it really dilutes and ruins the good that I do. And if nothing else, then in my own heart. It might not affect what's happening in the real world, but as far as from my perception of myself and my experience, it directly inhibits that. And it inhibits my being grateful to myself and being gracious with failure. I think you need to have it requires one having a certain amount of intolerance for failure and coupling that with a certain acceptance of the inevitable. Failure happens sometimes, but also that's the price that you pay for learning. If you're willing to put in the time to learn the thing that, learn the techniques or learn a way to fix it, how to fail. And also keeping it genuine, going back to the same concept. That's one thing while I was working on the last side, I was able to listen to a few different interviews with some of my favorite artists. I was watching C2A and Barrett Marshall interviews, talking about Will England, Coffee with Wolves. Beautiful, great interview if you haven't you've never seen it. I would go check it out. I really enjoy C2A and I enjoy Barrett Marshall. I enjoy how their perspectives of it. And C2 has been an inspiration to myself for many, many years. I love all of his work, how he pursues it, how he kind of embraces the absurd and gives it a place. And I really appreciate his acceptance of harshness and being able to simultaneously cast it aside. You've got to be willing to be realistic with yourself, with your goals, what you're up to, what you want to accomplish, and then be okay with what happens along that process. Sometimes it goes super smooth, sometimes it goes super easy, sometimes it's a giant train wreck. And I think that's one of my good skills, is being okay to roll with the punches. But I also have that coupled with a very negative. I can couple that with a very negative attitude with myself and with situations at times. So I think, as part of my experience, one of the things I need to do is be more available, more okay with things being absurd, not okay, not necessarily fitting with the plan, but that they just exist. For instance, there's a lot in my musicianship, in my ability to play. There's a lot of skills, a lot of techniques that I wish I was just better at, that I was just smoother at, that if I just put more time in and practice, I would just get it. But I think, especially when you're a critical person like myself and you're just really harsh on it, I think it's almost easier. I think the trick is it's almost easier just to beat yourself up more than it is to actually put in the work to get good. Like when it came to construction, when it came to, mechanics, really anything with cars, I've put in a great deal of time and energy and failure to be able to learn the skill set that I have, to be able to learn to work all the different materials that I do. And I think being able to keep that same, I think it's somewhere between Gnosticism, where you're seeking the truth, and adventurousness, maybe. There's a certain level of conscious desire for it, there's a certain level of the soul just wants it. It can really propel a lot of growth. And I think in myself, I get so concerned with the pursuit of perfection that I don't just let myself enjoy certain things. Like in my playing, I love certain ways that I do them. They're just fun. There's a reason why I do them, besides I'm just practice to them. It feels good. And I think I don't give myself enough credit to write songs in forms that are comfortable to me, because I find myself constantly wanting to push myself even further. And that is an example of perfect being the enemy of good. So I'm so busy worried about trying to learn all these other techniques, or keep up with all these other bass players, or keep up with these other guitar players, other instrumentalists or arrangers, composers, that I forget the fun things that I do, the novelty that I do, the odd things, and the reason why people enjoy my playing. And it's hard for me because I'm not necessarily my audience. I think a lot of artists kind of come with that, especially with music. You're dealing with something maybe a little bit more abstract, something that's separate. It's not like paint, or it's not like building a cabinet or something where you have something tangible you can mess with. But music has tangible rules, and it makes space. If architecture is crystallized music, then music by nature is etheric architecture. It's sonic architecture, I suppose, would be a better way of putting that. Learning how to build structures with nothing more than sound. And I think I don't give myself enough credit in the skills I have to just build. And simultaneously, I need to couple that with the realization that to become a better arranger, to become a better composer, to become a better performer, I have to constantly be challenging myself. So being able to ride the fine line between being critical with oneself and being accepting of oneself is definitely the harder lesson, but it's one I think that's the one that's most worthy. And that, I think, is what I want to explore on my stream this year, more than anything else, more than trying to gain followers, more than trying to gain subs, more than trying to gain even any kind of an income. I want to go back to exploring myself and exploring the human consciousness, which is what got us in this dream in the first place. What makes people tick? Like all the questions I used to ask, why are people peers? And that got me into over a year of digging into the consciousness of Fallout 76 PvPers. And ultimately it ended up coming out that just like anything else, I just want to make friends. I just want to kind of have an enjoyable experience while simultaneously enjoying a peak of endorphins. So this year, that is my goal, is to go through it and to find more things that I can accept about myself and enjoy and push those to the forefront, while simultaneously being okay with the process of growing and evolving. So if this sounded interesting to you, I know it's a bit of a rant, like I said, not very well scripted. This is just all off the cuff that happens when I'm driving. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button right there. Make sure you have your notifications on and join us for the next adventure. And yeah, like I said, I don't stream regularly. I don't go by regularly. I don't upload videos regularly. I've been trying to stream Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. over on Twitch. But realistically, I'm not going to hold myself to a schedule that I know I can't keep up, especially with my life being as busy as it is quickly happening. But I want to do my best to be as present as possible for all of you guys that tune in and watch the show and then hang out, that come and join me for my experience, that send me messages and that just talk to me. I mean, I value you guys a lot, and I'm trying to get back in touch with myself and the parts of me that bring myself joy, that bring you guys joy. And I think it's, while it's hard and while it's ugly and while it's gross and there's a lot of introspection that I'm going to be going through to try and sort this stuff out, I think it's a worthy experience, and I appreciate you all being here. So if you enjoyed this video and you enjoy any of my other driving videos, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and hang out. I'm probably going to be looking into dividing some of these channels up, some of these series up and things into different sort of topics that can be handled and more easily discussed. And that way you can, you as the viewer can toggle through and find content that's organized and that makes sense and that follows similar topics, and that way hey, is this just Stone BSing, or just hanging out and being weird, or are we just or are we actually learning something, are we gaining something, do I have something that's here of value? Because absurdity is just as valuable as other information, but putting everything in place is what's important. So again, thank you all very much for tuning in. I appreciate you being here. I love you all very much. As always and forever, I'm Stone. Thank you for coming into another Stoneberg Streams, and I can't wait to see you all again next time.